Hey everyone, Man on the Run here. Today we're gonna watch a Ben Shapiro clip. It's about what the Afghanistan withdrawal means for America. Personally, I don't know that much about it. So if you're like me, guess we're gonna learn today.
Welcome back. This is the Ben Shapiro Show. Joining us on the line is Representative Dan Crenshaw. He's representative for Texas' 2nd Congressional District. He's also host of the podcast Hold These Truths and author of Fortitude, American Resilience in Our Era of Outrage. Of course, he served in Afghanistan and then, of course, lost an eye being hit by an IED on a deployment over there, served 10 years in the Navy SEALs. Dan, thanks so much for joining the show. Good to talk to you.
Ben, always great to be with you.
So, Dan, obviously, this is one of the darkest weeks in modern American foreign policy history. Certainly of my lifetime. I was born in the 80s, so I don't remember the fall of Saigon, but the utter betrayal to which the Biden administration has now subjected our allies in Afghanistan, and also the complete surrender of the entire country to the Taliban, with now apparently no true ability to even do anti-terror operations in the country. It's astonishing how badly this was handled.
It really is. I think we're forgetting something to it. The reason we go into Afghanistan, the reason we kept deploying there, this is something the American people need to hear that they have not heard for years. But the reason we keep going there is to prevent a terrorist safe haven, because that terrorist safe haven is what caused 9/11. And so our goal was, not just to go after the people who did it, but to prevent it from ever happening again. We're forward deployed everywhere around the world, and yet for some reason, the No More Endless Wars crowd has singularly focused on Afghanistan. And people cannot seem to distinguish between nation building, which indeed is a waste in a place like Afghanistan, but they can't distinguish between that and a small residual force that was basically keeping a stalemate, propping up the Afghan government enough so that we don't see this kind of terrorist safe haven take place.
Yeah, I've never personally ever believed that anywhere that you send out troops to quell like a war and whatnot and you just leave and it's all good. No, more people are going to pop up and do the same thing if you just leave.
Well, there's this distinction between, nation building and, having what I would call, I don't know if anybody else calls it, but like a preventative force, which is like basically what he's saying, where, the goal with nation building is to South Korea, that's nation building. So the whole point is that's what Dan is saying is a waste of time in Afghanistan. There's just too much. It's not feasible for plenty of reasons that we don't have to go into right now. People, I don't think, understand terrorism in that terrorists think that Western civilization is an affront on God.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's like, I wish people would realize that,
they want
people
to
like
see your way of life dead.
Your way of life is a sin.
Mm-hmm.
Literally is a sin. You're an infidel, right? And so I don't know. It's just crazy. I don't know. It's a complicated situation though, so it's hard to understand.
Yeah, Dan, this is the part that drives me up an absolute wall. So we have heard, Joe Biden just lied overtly yesterday. He kept saying over and over, we'd have rows of headstones at Arlington National Cemetery, that are we going to send another generation over there to die? The United States has had a minimum troop presence in Afghanistan since 2014, when NATO shifted its mission. We had 2,500 troops in Afghanistan. We'd had 0 combat casualties since February 2020. There is no way to overstate this. The fact that he was treating this as quote unquote endless war, when we had stopped spending hundreds of billions of dollars, we were now spending about $45 billion a year to have a minimum troop presence there and to prop up the Afghan government.
By the way, so I don't know if he's going to say it in the video or not, but like 45 billion is approximately 1% of the budget. 1% of the government's budget. So, or maybe 1% of the military budget. I don't know. It's a stupid
I was gonna
small
say
amount.
$45 billion to fund the army being there and to prop up an entire country's government is not bad.
Yeah, it's literally, it's either 1% of the military budget or 1% of the entire budget. So it's like, first of all, you can't make a financial argument and say that it's a drain on money, because it's not. So it's like, I just don't get it. Joe Biden, Ben's right. Joe Biden talks about it as like an endless war. And it's like fear mongering. Are we going to send all of our young men and women to die? It's like, okay, so
but no
wait,
one died since what?
No one's
December
a year and a half,
2020?
18 months, February, 18 months.
February 2020, man.
So no, not a single person has died in the United States military in Afghanistan for 18 months. But you're going to tell me that we need to pull out of Afghanistan so that we don't have another generation of young men and women dying over there? It's like, okay. And now Americans are dead. I don't know if he'll say it in the video either, but I want to make this clear. The last time, because 13 American service members died a couple days ago, right? And the last time we had 13 U.S. service members die on the same day in Afghanistan was 2011.
Wow.
So Joe Biden has killed more Americans in a single day than the Joe Biden unironically killed more Americans than the fucking terrorists in a single day. Because it's a direct result of his fucking decision since 2011.
Yeah.
And he's going to tell me endless war. We don't want to. Yeah. It's just brutal, man. It makes me mad. Anyway, I went on a rant. Let's keep going.
Joe Biden ripping on the Afghan military to the tune of these are all cowards who ran away, when it's perfectly obvious what happened here. The Afghan military underwent 55,000 deaths over the last 7 years. And the United States military underwent under 100 deaths over the last 7 years in the way of combat.
They have sacrificed. I've fought with these people. But I'll never forget this story. We did a mission back when I was deployed there. And when we're talking about it afterwards, we said, you guys have to be able to do this on your own one day. And they asked us a very simple question. They said, would you go do it with the trucks that we have? Would you go do this? And we had to answer honestly, nope, no, we would not. And what we've done is basically told a drowning man to learn how to swim while we pull away his life raft.
You like that analogy? Because I think that's a pretty good analogy.
Yeah.
I just because that he is right. Joe Biden has said in the talking point has been, well, that the Afghani military just turned over and let the Taliban take over. It's like you have to be pretty ignorant to think that's what happened, because when you talk to anybody who was served with those people, they'll tell you that's horseshit. Let's say you're a freedom fighter in Afghanistan, and we have all these helicopters over there, right? We left all this equipment, Black Hawk helicopters. So the Taliban don't know how to fly Black Hawk helicopters. You know who does? Some of the freedom fighters who have been trained to fly fucking Black Hawk helicopters. So the Taliban comes to you and they go, listen, so here's the deal. Either we torture you, we rape your daughter, we rape your wife, we kill all of you and everybody that you've ever cared about, or you're going to fly this Black Hawk helicopter for us. It's like, what are you going to choose?
Not actually a fair fight between the Afghan army and the Taliban. The Taliban are an insurgency. They play by no rules. They'll kill civilians. They'll hide amongst civilians. It's a completely different way of warfare. It's not like they're fighting a conventional force.
All of these, talk about Vietnam, talk about Afghanistan, guerrilla warfare.
Right. Guerrilla warfare.
And we lose to it. We created it and we lose to it.
But it is funny. Well, you know what? It's a good point, because people are like, well, what are we going to do? We just can't seem to get rid of them. It's like, do you understand that guerrilla warfare, this is the whole point. It's a thorn in your side that you can never reach. You can never take it out. It's just, this is why we need to suppress that. The problem is, would you rather have the Taliban using guerrilla warfare, or would you rather have them aiding terrorists that are going to carry out international bombings? Which one do you want?
So, Dan, this is a bigger point that you're making here, which is the geostrategic points. There's the tactical point here, which is this is a complete failure. We ended up giving billions of dollars in equipment to literally the worst people on earth. But then there's the geostrategic point, and that is that American foreign policy is reliant on two basic mainstays. One, that we are a good ally, and two, that we are a horrifically bad enemy. That if you cross us, we will break you, and if you ally with us, we will defend you. And we have, in one stroke, basically undermined both of those.
Isn't that a scary thought? Like, because right now America's used to our allies being, conciliatory with us. Mm-hmm. But how many times can you fuck over your allies before they say, I'd rather make a deal with the devil than you have to fight the devil by myself. You know what I mean?
Let me be very clear about something. If your goal was to go to zero troops, this was going to happen. Now, it happened faster than we thought, but it was always going to happen. And that strategic deterrence, that strategic national interest that we have, was always going to end up like this if you went to zero troops.
I don't know. I hate to just beat a dead horse, but it's hard for me. I think people also are in denial of what Dan just said, which is that even the plan that Biden had he admitted that the Afghanistan was going to fall to the Taliban. They just thought it would take 3 months, not 2 days.
Gotcha.
But the whole point is they already accepted the fact that they were going to let the Taliban take over. And so why did he do that? Why are you going to willingly make a decision knowing that the Taliban are going to take over Afghanistan so that you can say, well, I brought the troops home and Donald Trump didn't. Donald Trump said that he would. He didn't. Obama said he would. He didn't. I said I would. I did. Right? So he wanted that emotional slogan. He wanted that talking point for re-election. And he was okay with sacrificing the freedoms and lives of the Afghani people. People support this. This is what's crazy. People, supported the decision, but lo and behold, when we live in reality and Americans are dying, and I'm pissed because people want to only talk about the Americans, but there's a lot more people dying than just Americans. Yeah.
I made the point earlier that like Americans were dying, but it doesn't really matter.
Everybody talks about how there's like 1,000 or maybe a little under 1,000 somewhere American citizens still in Afghanistan right now, okay? Spread all over the country, not just in Kabul, not like 20 minutes from the airport, no, miles from the airport of Taliban-controlled land. Okay, those are American citizens. There are tens of thousands of green card holders. That means that they can legally live in the United States. They have green cards. There's tens of thousands of those people. So it's not just the American citizens. There are plenty of people who should not be subjected to what they're being subjected to right now. And that's a willing sacrifice for Joe Biden.
Americans need to have some introspection here. We need to decide who we want to be. Are we the leaders of the world or not? And no, that doesn't mean world police, but it is an honest assessment of what defense and national security actually mean. And I don't know where we went wrong on this. I think the American public I think the pendulum has swung so far in the wrong direction because we were rightfully sick of, I think, the wasteful nation building that occurred in Afghanistan. But we have to get back to, I think, a sense of normal and stop looking at foreign policy with pure emotion and look at it with realism. Again, a lot of people say, well, it was a pointless war. It wasn't going anywhere. Look at the Soviets. Look at the British. It's all the same thing. And I say, okay, that's fine, but the premise of your argument seems to be that, well, I wish I lived in a different reality.
What he said was, people don't understand the reality, which is you don't protect America by having all your troops on the beaches preventing people from coming over, because by the time the planes are in the air, there's already an attack on its way.
We can't let them build up somewhere else because then they come here.
Yes, you need to stop. Yeah. Right. Why would you wait for the problem to be a bigger problem? I don't know. I don't have much else to say. It's warfare is a complicated thing. Geopolitics is a very complicated thing, and people don't even understand what's happening in their own goddamn state. So maybe before somebody, makes a decision that affects the entire world, they should probably, learn some more about it. Or maybe if you're Joe Biden and you have all the information, maybe you should just have, a soul and think about all the people you're going to kill. I don't know, just an idea.
It's really saddening that we all have the liberty, the rights, the freedom, and the ability to sit here and talk and complain about these things while all these people are dying. So, there's that.
Words are not adequate in order to explain the horrific nature.
The loss of life and
all of it. It's not just the loss of life. It's not just the loss of life. It's the reason why life is being lost. It's how the life is being lost. It's the implications of future lives that are going to be lost. It's not as simple as a 9/11. 9/11 happened. Nobody died a week. Well, maybe that's not true from injuries, but no one was dying from 9/11 6 months after 9/11 happened, right? Like 9/11 happened, right? And so, okay, we move on. All right. What's happening right now? This is the beginning. This is the beginning of death and destruction and the violation of human rights. The beginning. Make no mistake. And guess what? Whenever we're gone, you're not going to hear about it. because there's not going to be anybody there telling you what's happening because everybody's fucking gone. The Allied troops are going to be gone. So people are going to be suffering in silence. Just understand that.
Really heavy stuff. Like, share, subscribe. Maybe share some videos with us that are a little more upbeat. Would
Yes,
be glad
please.
to talk about other things.
Yes, please.
So
Anyway,
yep.
Thank you for watching.